Sometimes we come to seasons in motherhood where we feel so dry spiritually. We feel like there's no connection to God, and in the middle of seeking Him or trying to seek Him in the busyness of all the little ones around us, it gets wearisome. Today, I want to encourage you if you're feeling dry spiritually in your motherhood journey, if you feel like you've lost your connection to God. I hope this video will be an encouragement for you.
My name is Melinda. I am a happy wife and mom of 4. Thank you for joining me today as I share the things that I have learned with other busy young moms like myself.
I have found in my motherhood journey that I've gone through seasons where I feel spiritually dry. I have seasons in my life where I felt like I could easily connect to God or felt Him close, and other seasons where it just seemed like He was so distant. When you have a bunch of little children clamoring for your attention, when your hormones are out of whack, when you're so busy you can hardly even read the Bible properly, even if you try to every day take some time to hear from God, it's usually while holding a baby or nursing or interrupted because of sibling fights or whatever. I mean, for one thing, they're usually up early, mine are, and there's seasons. But there's been seasons where I definitely felt so distant from God and felt like I couldn't take the time to reconnect. My advice for you in this is when you have the seasons where there isn't so much struggle, build a strong relationship with God. I think we can compare it to marriage. Marriages often go through, I wouldn't say they suffer really, but it's a bit harder when you have little children. My husband and I have a good relationship, but there's times when I can greet him when he comes home from work. There's other times he comes home from work and I'm trying to watch the supper so that it doesn't burn, and the girl that's taking a bath that she doesn't take too long, and there's one or two asking for water, or the baby is crying. And in those times I can't do much more than look over at him and say, "Welcome home, dear." But that's about it. And then we get to bed exhausted, and we haven't had time to sit down and talk, and it just seems like there's not the close connection. But I have learned that if we have a strong marriage before the baby comes, sure, we go through a tough time, but we recover, and with a bit of work and a bit of effort, and we get the closeness back again that we once felt. So I think the same applies with God. Seek God often, and when you are in the dry seasons, don't feel like you're distant. God is always there for us, and sometimes we don't have the same amount of time for Him as we did before, and I don't think He would scold us for that. He meets us right where we are. Some months ago I was going through more of a dry season. It felt like I just couldn't reach God, but I knew that I had to just cling to His promises, that I had to keep seeking Him wherever I was. And then one day I realized I was praying for a revival in my heart, and one day I realized that I felt that closeness again, where it had been so dry, where I'd wondered where God was. I felt that He was near. I remember we were traveling somewhere, and we had songs going in the vehicle, and often or a few weeks earlier they wouldn't have meant much to me, but here I was singing along. Each song held so much special weight to it. It felt as though God was near and He had heard my prayers, and I was so grateful. I shared that with my husband, that it seemed like I had come through a dry season, and now I felt the closeness with the Lord again. And I didn't give up in the dry season. I knew God was always there. I knew, for whatever reason, probably because of the busyness of everything, it's not an excuse to just abandon my relationship with Him. The same with my husband. Just when I have little children, it's not to say, oh well, no investing in our marriage. But it's not to the same extent. And yet we go through it. and then we can build it up again. And so that's what I'm trying to do now, that I'm a little bit better off than I was some weeks or months ago, as far as emotionally and physically and mentally handling things. So if you're going through a dry season and God feels distant, keep seeking Him and build your relationship strong. He's always waiting for us, He's always there for us, and He meets us right where we are. We can talk with Him over dishes, over laundry, over crying babies. I've often called out to Him for help. It's maybe just a whisper in my heart, but oh God, please help me in this time. Help me to not get impatient. Help me to rejoice. And He has. I've seen it. Sometimes it feels so hopeless. But hang on to hope that no season lasts forever, like I like to say. You will get through it again, and you will feel the closeness again. Seek Him in whatever way you can while you're doing dishes, while you're feeding the baby. Instead of always scrolling on your phone, make it a point of having your Bible beside you maybe. Or somewhere open where you can just catch, even if it's a verse or two. See Him in your baby's smiles and in the flowers your little girls bring to you. It's His gifts. He's still wanting to connect with you. And even if it's a quick, I love you, Lord. If it's a quick, thank you for these flowers. Thank you for your gift. Thank you for the food. Or please help me. Or like when I hand the baby over to my husband when he comes home from work. Please take this burden, or please help me to bear it. You will see that God will come through for you someday, and you'll regain that closeness. Don't abandon your relationship with Him, even if He doesn't abandon you. But you might not have all the time, and that's totally okay. He will meet you where you are, and He'll be there always for you. I hope that this can be an encouragement for you if you are really struggling with dry seasons spiritually in motherhood. It's not that you're a failure. Build up your relationship with Jesus when you can. And when you can't have much time to dedicate, know that He is there for you, and He loves you, and He doesn't condemn you for not being able to have half an hour for Bible study. He just wants your heart turned to Him. He wants to help you. He wants to show you His blessings. And sometimes it just takes a moment of resetting our hearts to gain that connection with Him, to see that He has sent us flowers and baby smiles and whatever we need, the grace we need to get through these tough times. Thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.